Father's shoes. The dawn had not yet broken. My father was walking down the narrow dirt road of our village, an old bag in one hand, a stick in the other. On his feet were those same worn-out, torn shoes. I stood quietly on the veranda, watching him disappear into the morning mist. The dusty shoes seemed to cry softly with every step he took. I was only 10 years old then. My little mind couldn't understand. Why didn't my father buy new shoes? Why did he wear those same old ones every single day? Father was a simple laborer. He worked at the brick field from sunrise to sunset. Every evening, he returned home with a tired body, but always with a smile on his face. Mother used to say, "No matter how hard your father's day is, one smile from you makes him forget all his pain." But I was too young to understand that. My world was full of shiny things, new school bags, crisp uniforms, and the polished shoes my friends wore to school. Every morning, I walked to school wearing the shoes my father had given me, patched, faded, and torn. My friends would laugh. "Hey, your father still wears those old shoes? Why doesn't he buy new ones?" Their words stung. I felt ashamed. I would look away and wonder, why couldn't my father be a little more modern? Why didn't he ever buy anything for himself? One afternoon, I came home from school and saw him sitting in the yard, sewing the laces of his shoes. Sweat glistened on his forehead, but there was a gentle smile on his face. "Father," I said softly, "why don't you buy a new pair of shoes?" He smiled and replied, "These still work fine, son. I'll buy new ones the day I see you become a man." Back then, I didn't understand the depth of that sentence. That night, I couldn't sleep. My eyes stayed fixed on those shoes lying near the door, covered in dust, marked with sweat, full of tiny holes. Suddenly I realized those shoes weren't just made of leather. They carried every bit of my father's struggle, his pain, and his sacrifice. My chest grew heavy. Quietly, I picked up his shoes. I could almost feel the scars of his tired feet through them. In that silent moment, I made a promise to myself. One day, I will fill these shoes with pride. My father will be able to say, "My son made it." Years passed. I grew up and moved to the city for my studies. Father still wore the same old shoes every day. Whenever I offered to buy him new ones, he would laugh and say, "When you can stand on your own feet, son, then you can buy me a pair." Life in the city was hard. I studied by day and tutored children by night to survive. Every morning before leaving for class, I would picture those worn-out shoes. They reminded me why I couldn't give up, because my father never did. Finally, one day, I got a job, a big office, a good salary. When I received my first paycheck, the first thing that came to mind was my father. I thought, now it's my turn to give something back. I went back to the village. There he was, sitting on the veranda, those same old shoes in his hands. He looked up in surprise. "You? So early?" I smiled. "Father, I brought something for you." From my bag, I took out a box. Inside was a brand new, shining pair of shoes. Father froze for a moment. Then slowly, he took off his old pair and placed them beside him. His eyes filled with tears as he held the new shoes in his hands. He said softly, "You know, son, these old shoes grew up with me. Every day, every drop of sweat, every hardship of my life is stitched into their soles. Half of your success belongs to these shoes." I couldn't speak. I just looked at him, the tired yet proud smile on his face. Then he said, "Not the shoes, son, you are my pride." Those words carved themselves deep into my heart. He slowly put on the new shoes and stood up. There was a calm joy on his face, as if the whole world beneath his feet had turned soft. In that moment, I understood something. A father doesn't just walk with his own shoes. He walks every path of his child's future as well. A year later, my father fell ill. He couldn't walk anymore, but those old shoes still rest quietly in the corner of our house. Mother says, "Don't move them. They're your father's memories." Even now, living in the city, every morning before I leave for work, I glance at a photo of those shoes, dusty, still, eternal. I feel like my father still walks beside me in every step I take. Whenever life tests me, I remember those torn soles and his eyes filled with quiet pride. Sometimes, sitting in my office, I think we often underestimate a father's love because it is silent. Mothers show love with tears. Fathers show it with endurance. They bear the burden quietly, building our future with their sweat, and still say, I'm fine. Today, wherever I go, however far I walk, I can still hear that familiar sound beneath my feet. Tap, tap. It's as if those old shoes whisper, keep walking, son. Don't stop. You can do it. My father's shoes are no longer just a memory. They are my strength, my direction, my faith. One day, on my son's birthday, I told him the story of those old shoes. He laughed and said, Dad, how can an old pair of shoes be that important? I placed my hand on his head and replied, the day you sacrifice your own dreams for your child's happiness, you'll understand what a father's shoes truly mean. He went quiet. I knew someday he would understand. Father's shoes are not his alone. They are the symbol of every father's life. Every step taken through dust and thorns to clear the path for their children. Whenever someone succeeds in life, beneath their feet lie countless sacrifices and the faded footprints of a father's old shoes.